Hi everyone, we're just waiting to get connected with Jessa. Awesome.
Okay, great. I'm so glad I'm connected. Hi there.
Hi Jessa.
Hi.
It always takes a little bit of time with Instagram Lives to just make sure everybody's up and running, but we are here and live. I'm just repinning the New York City suicide crisis line just
Okay.
because I want to make sure that anyone who joins the call has a resource that they can reach out to if they feel that any of the conversation today is
Yes.
impacting
Yes.
them or someone they know.
Yeah. Thank you
But
for
look,
sharing that resource. Also, as I previously mentioned to you, another great resource, if anybody's wanting crisis support, you can just call 988 and
yes,
you'll be connected with crisis services.
yes. That is the number I'm sharing because
Perfect.
it's awesome that that is they shortened it. Um,
Yes, exactly.
so let me just finish typing this. But really looking forward to chatting with you.
Yes,
And is it
likewise.
pronounced how? Remind me again how you pronounce your last
Yeah.
name.
Thank you for checking. So my last name, it has an accent on the E and it's pronounced Navide.
Navide, because I was gonna say Navidad, and I'm like, I know that there's no A there, so I just
Yeah,
wanted to make sure.
yes, almost like Navidad, but Navide.
And your camera for me is you're rotated to the right. I
Or
don't know. Okay,
is this
perfect.
better? Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Jessa Navide.
So
Um,
happy to be here.
we know that you are one of the Faye facilitators. And for those who are joining us today, if you're not familiar with 3.5 Acres Yoga, it's an organization that works to bring yoga to nonprofits and underserved communities. And we have amazing partners like Live Recovery and also individuals who are working in trauma-informed yoga, as well as the branches that come with trauma-informed yoga. So today's conversation is with Jessa. She's a licensed clinical psychologist. And she's also going to be facilitating one of the sessions that they have coming up in our February teacher training. Correct me if I'm wrong. What is the date of that training again?
I believe is the second week of February. Let me pull that
I
up
know
here.
there are a few different individuals that are presenting, and I wanted to say it's February 8th, but I could be wrong. And of course, if you're watching this and that is wrong, definitely check out 3.5 Acres Yoga's feed to find details on all of the facilitators who are going to be participating, as well as some Instagram lives that I've held with some of our prior facilitators. Including Tristan and Jamae. So there's a great network that you can be a part of if you're interested in participating in Thay's trauma teacher training.
Um, yeah, I just pulled up my calendar and the training, the suicide prevention training is scheduled for Thursday, February 8th. It'll be from 6 to 8 p.m.
Awesome. And so I would love, before we, today's conversation, we're going to dive into, of course, your background as a licensed clinical psychologist. We're also going to be looking at interoception and what that means, as well as the overarching conversation around suicide awareness. And really just those who are attending, the intention of this conversation, of course, we know that this is a topic that can be very close to people, whether from personal experience or just within their network. But today's conversation, we really want it to be more about building that awareness and how even if you've never personally been affected or know anyone that's affected, there is a knowledge gap that can be filled by attending these kind of talks today, as well as just learning more about those resources. So for me, learning that the crisis hotline number had been shortened to a 3-digit number is amazing because I don't think that a lot of people have known that. So hopefully even that small bit of awareness is something that we can spread in today's conversation. So I'd love for you to just share who you are, Jessa. You would do a better job than I would of reading your bio because we don't want it to feel too clinical. We want it to be able for you to represent who you are and share that with the community.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Danielle, for everything you shared. And I'm so grateful to be here. Really looking forward to this conversation. And yeah, I would love to share a little bit about myself. So, as you mentioned, I'm a licensed clinical psychologist based here in New York City. I came to New York back. Am I echoing, by the way?
Not for me, no.
Okay, interesting. I'm echoing a little bit on my end, but I'll try to
I
correct you
know
there.
what you mean. I sometimes the sound is so weird and we don't realize it until after. For me, you sound fine. And if anybody's joining us in the chat, if anything sounds weird, please definitely let us know in the comment section.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll just lower the volume here. So, yeah, I came to New York City back in 2020 for the last year of grad school, working at Lincoln Hospital. And it was actually during that time I had the wonderful opportunity to study with Lara, doing Ashtanga yoga virtually for a year. And during that experience, I learned about the opportunity to do the trauma sensitive yoga teacher training through Thay. And that's when I really entered this world of trauma sensitive yoga, which is so aligned with all of my clinical interests. So, as a clinical psychologist, I have a lot of experience working with individuals healing from trauma, working with people who might be struggling with emotion regulation, and then related to our talk today, really big passion for suicide prevention work, which was a big specialty of mine during my graduate training. And I will share, because I think it's relevant here and I think it's important for really breaking down the stigma, that it's a passion of mine that is both deeply personal as well as professional. And so I am a suicide attempt survivor myself, and I have a really big passion for simply actually just creating more space to break down the stigma and name that, because I think that one of the big barriers to suicide prevention and intervention work is simply the fact that there's so many people out there who might not really feel safe talking about the suicidal thoughts that they're experiencing. Um, and going along with that, that's one of the reasons why I think actually trauma sensitive yoga is a really incredible resource for individuals who are living with suicidal thoughts or healing from a suicide attempt because um, there's a lot of people who have not had necessarily the most positive experiences in mental health care if they haven't worked with a provider who is really competent in working with individuals with suicidal thoughts. So I think that if you might be in a stage in your healing journey where maybe you're not yet ready to talk about it, trauma sensitive yoga is really powerful because it helps you to connect with your body on your own terms in a way that can feel really much safer than necessarily going to speak with a provider if you're not yet ready there on your healing journey. Um, and I'll share a little bit about what you mentioned with interoception and that link with how it can be really helpful for trauma sensitive yoga healing from a suicide attempt. And so there's a lot of emerging research linking interoceptive deficits with a risk for suicidality. And so I'll just define interoception is essentially one of our senses, but it's a sense that's more internal, kind of allowing you to know what you are feeling. And
Okay.
so, for
And I want,
example,
sorry, before you dive into the
yeah,
examples, because I want to make sure that the individuals who are joining us are able to hear you clearly. They said that there is a little bit of an echo.
yeah,
And
I'm
so
gonna
I'm wondering if,
take this off.
Yeah, I usually go sans headphones for that reason because it can be so unpredictable. So hopefully that's okay. But while you're updating your headphones, I will just say before you go into the definition of interoception, first, just thank you so much for Yeah, and so for anyone who's learning more about Faye, as we're going through this conversation with Jessa, if there are any terms that are new to you, we definitely encourage you to do research and looking into that information. Also connecting with Faye, connecting with Jessa following this call. If there are any questions that you have, we want to make sure that we can be a resource for you as we're all learning and growing in this community.
Can you hear
So I
me
know
right now?
Yes, you sound good to me. So if the listeners of IG Live, if it sounds better, just give us a thumbs up. And so I know when you switching over your headphones, I was just letting the community know that if, as we're exploring these new terms and potentially new ideas to them, that they can reach out to Faye if they have questions. Also connecting with you if they want to learn more. We want to make sure that individuals who are either listening to this on IG Live or maybe on YouTube know that this is not a one-time conversation. This is ongoing conversation. And before you provide the definition of interoception, I just wanted to touch upon your openness in sharing your own experience of why this work is so important to you. I think that the beauty of the Faye community is there are so many people with life experiences that are willing to talk about them and share and explore them. And that's how we're able to break down these stigmas, whether it be related to suicide awareness or related to yoga in itself, by having these very frank conversations and meeting each other where we are. So just thank you so much in continuing your work and exploring your interests as you're also exploring who you are as an individual.
Thank you. Thank you for the acknowledgement. And yeah, I'm so grateful that this is able to be a space to really break down stigma and of safety within to be able to be open to some of these experiences that historically have been stigmatized.
Yeah. And you're breaking up a little bit now. So now I'm like, what is going on? Excuse me.
I would say that I have AirPods, which sometimes can help. I'm
Can help.
try that out. That's the best.
Yeah, is the computer like near any type of metal? I know that happens to me sometimes.
You know what? Here, it is. Let me the clearance. One moment. And I'm going to grab the AirPods.
Okay. Yeah, so as we're transitioning, we appreciate just your patience as we're working through, the joys of technology. But I also think that that's the beauty of being able to have these very transparent and real moments that show you that myself and Jessa are humans, and we're humans that are taking the time to share our own individual experiences and tapping into new spaces of knowledge. And so if you're somebody who's been considering doing an IG Live or any type of talk, this is your reminder to just do it because life is full of technical difficulties and we work through it.
I so appreciate that understanding, Danielle. Maybe the headphones are making it worse.
What it's doing is creating a delay. So it's like you're talking and then your mouth is moving after. I think maybe the metal might have been what it is. So if you want to just say a few words, because I know you to discuss your work at Lincoln, and you're also a graduate from the University of Denver. So also love that you made your transition over to the East Coast as well.
Yes, it was a wonderful transition. I didn't in my bio, but I have a big passion with the Latinx community, the things that you me. I'm bilingual. It was such an incredible hospital that served, I would say, primarily the Latin community. The appeals to the city.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. Oh, my house phone is ringing. There is it's like every other word is breaking up for some reason. And one second.
Is it any better now?
Say that one more time.
Is it any better now?
It's like it keeps delaying. I almost feel like having the headphone. I didn't hear the echo, but I'm also wondering if like what's the lesser of two evils. But LOS said it sounds good. So as long as it sounds good to the people,
Okay.
that's all that matters. Okay, cool. And I know that this can be really stressful, all of these tech things. So thank you for navigating through them. So I know the pin is in the topic of introspection, but you were about to share that your work specifically started with the Latinx community. And I think that as a person of color, we don't talk enough about mental health and awareness. So before you dive into the definition of introspection, can you just share a little bit more about the specific, what drew you to the specific community and the importance of that work in the community?
Yeah, of course. So during my graduate, at the onset of the Latinx community and a little bit unusual experience, took some time off and in Latin America. Peru, I spent there ultimately clinical training there. Went in, and there's really just huge and creating qualities to the Latin community Spanish speaking. It's something like clinical psychologist speaks Spanish. So you can imagine there's a huge gap when the last data are growing, like 18% of the U.S. population identifies as being Latinx.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's rising, and there's also just really suicidality challenges, especially amongst Latinos who have significant rates for suicide. So that's meaningful at Lincoln Hospital to be able to provide a lot of to the as well as working with that Latina adolescent population that very, very high suicidal suicide attempts.
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean, I was not aware of that stat. And so I also hope that in having this conversation today, there are individuals who know that they are not alone and that there are institutions within the New York City area that are working actively to explore the specific differences within culture and ethnicity, because I do think that that is a piece of that awareness that needs to be expanded on, that this is not just one type of person that experience any suicidal thoughts or experiences things related to suicide, but instead it's just a human experience.
Yeah. And thank you for definitely I would say growing for individuals seeking mental health services or more broadly for the community. One of the things I appreciated at hospital was that they really barriers, a lot of clinicians speaking, and being willing to serve regardless of patient status, whether or not you have.
Yeah. And so in that same vein, your work with interoception, did that come from your work at Lincoln Hospital, or was that something you were exploring prior to joining?
So that's something I would say just in the past year that I to delve into understanding standpoint, the trauma sensitive a great resource for suicide survivors. And I was able to be connected with this research doing research looking at those who have thoughts and attempts. And it was engaged researcher, I myself about this term of interoception, which I'm happy to.
Yeah, I would love for you to be able to share an example of the term so that individuals who may be unfamiliar of it could do a little more work. And maybe also spelling it, because I know when I first spelled it, I kept typing it in as introspection. And so I'm sure I won't be the only one that has that come up when they're doing their own research.
Yeah, so also it's interos, so IEOCEPTION. And as I actually considered senses, like proprioception as being interoception is being able to tune all of your body that let you know how. So it's being able to feeling examples. You're through your sweating, letting you know, are you hungry? Letting you know if you're full. And also to tune into, and then also the invention test really help you more tuned to your emotions. For example, that you notice is more quickly, you're feeling intention. If you notice on and then you're of a situation anxiety for me, you're going to be able to, oh, I'm feeling much earlier on. And this is what the benefit of receptive abilities, because to the degree that you do it sooner, it's going to be a lot overwhelming, because sometimes happen you don't notice beating so quick that you might be overwhelmed. And the really this is all research that these are skills to be developed, but that there are different mental health conditions that are linked to a deficit in comparison abilities. For example, include individuals who experience disorder, who experience anxiety, ADHD. Recently, research shows that in the history of a suicide attempt tend to show an interrogation.
Yeah, so it's one of those, it's not a one size fits all way of looking. It's just more so to allow you to build that awareness for yourself of what you might be feeling and different offsets that could be connected to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so is this a part of, can individuals who attend the trauma training on the 8th with you expect to learn a little more about this? I know that the session itself is, I believe, 90 minutes of content with 30 minutes of Q&A.
Yeah, so for asking that question, I'm very flexible to make the content what the people are interested in. So at the moment, I haven't placed that as much curriculum.
Okay.
There will also be 30 minutes of Q&A at the end. So there's definitely going to be space to ask about this. So within the training, there will be a lot of focus looking at the impact of suicide, personal attitudes about suicide, looking at the individual to indicate that they're suicidal thoughts. Those invitations are often not so clear to hydrate that. And then there will be basic skills to be able to have a conversation when you think that someone's experiencing suicidal thoughts. We definitely have a bit of a conversation about perception in the ways that can be a really for individuals are living with suicide.
So it's also for individuals, because we know when people come into the trauma training or just yoga training in general, they're often looking for, well, what is my area of interest? Because yoga is so expansive. I know for myself, when I started, it was really learning about chair yoga because I wanted to be able to work with individuals who may have limited permanent or temporary mobility, so that they are aware they can still move their body, and it doesn't necessarily have to be with a physical therapist, but instead there are yoga practices. And so you're highlighting for us today that there is this other unforeseen branch, or a branch of the Thay tree that is growing, by having individuals like you partner with our organization and explore your own interests, your own educational pursuits, and connect them back to this greater community. And I know that we are at the 12:30 mark. Would love to just go over a little bit, because I know we haven't had the opportunity to share the spaces that you've already started sharing this work, including the training, the assistant training that you did outside of Thay with Living
Yeah.
Works, because it's my understanding that that's an ongoing opportunity. So if you could just explore, share that a little bit more with folks so they can learn that this is work that they can connect with you on, not just within Thay, but in these other opportunities as well.
Yeah. So thank you for mentioning. So I will share back in October, did a training assist training, and this stands for Applied Suicide Skill Prevention Training. This is an amazing resource. So this is a very close training that teaches aid skills. This is something that these trainings, funding, Suicide Prevention Center, or for nonprofits would be working, be experiencing thoughts. So if this is something for organization, then you're welcome to reach out. Opportunity to see training. It's a bit of a commitment. It's 2 full days, but I think it's necessary to spend those 2 full days to really be able to develop skills. And then, as far as I'm actually right now of searching nonprofit to pair up each trauma sensitive individual
Okay.
living with suicide or healing from it.
Oh, I love that. Well, I hope that individuals who are hearing today's conversation, who, whether they work in organizations that align with social justice, want to add value of compassionate language into their organization. They're just different. I hope that the individuals listening learn that this is not just if your nonprofit fits a size, then you can have these kind of opportunities. It's more so just thinking about what the needs are of either the population you work directly with or the population that your work affects, and continuing to create and build upon these spaces so that we can feel that we are remembering how connected we are.
Thank you. Well, I will actually I so appreciate that part about compassion and I realized I have to touch upon, but that will be something I can cover in the suicide prevention training, because talking about how to compassionate language suicide is actually really important.
Mm.
So I'm
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I think that there's so much to dialogue about, and I think that individuals who want to expand on this understanding more, we truly encourage them to attend your portion of the training, whether they are first-time trainees and they're going through the wider training, or this is just a specific area of interest for them that they want to attend. There are 2 options for purchasing. And also, I'm not sure if you even have to be a yoga practitioner to attend your training. Do you?
It's my understanding environment that be open, of course, for sensitive yoga through Thay. And if you're not, it's my understanding that you're able to pay a small fee, but it's just
Okay.
it's for
Yeah, and
running.
I would agree. Yeah, I think that that's my understanding as well, because we know that there might be people who aren't ready to necessarily dive into their yoga training, whether that is committing to the 200 hours to even get to the point where you're taking these certifications. Again, we want to encourage people who are hearing this at whatever point, whether it be now or a year from now, that this isn't just a one-time session. This is something that you are, Jessa, a part of our community. And so as people are listening and saying, oh, I would just love as a parent or love as a educator in a school to learn more, build my own awareness so that I'm able to work with my loved ones or the people within my professional setting, and just have this mindfulness, then we encourage you to attend this training. I know in speaking with Jessa initially, I had shared that as a former resident assistant, that a part of our training was to see for the signs of suicide. And I can only imagine if we had someone like Jessa run a separate portion of that training, how much more impactful that conversation could have been. And who knows what stream of thought, what stream of action could have come from it. So thank you so much for talking with me today, working through the joys of technology. I hope that in whoever is listening, that whatever piece of this conversation that needed to reach you has reached you. And I hope you are encouraged to share it with people in your community.
Thank you so much. Definitely this conversation to everybody. This conversation. I think to end this, Danielle, you comment to me when we about everybody today when it comes to supervision work. So I'll put that out there. And if this resonates with you, would be so welcome to come to the suicide training on February. Would love to see you.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. I think that was beautifully said, and I won't add any more to it other than click the link in Thay's bio to learn more. And definitely connect with Jessa, whether it be on Instagram or LinkedIn. So thank you so much, Jessa. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You as well, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.